Hi, we thought we'd give you some extra information on threads. There's lots of different brands, different styles, different colors, different fibers. There's lots of choices out there. So we wanted to give you a little bit of a rundown of what's available and what you might be able to use them for.
Now, threads can make or break your project. I think that is one of the important things. But we've just agreed that we're not going to keep you busy all day with this conversation. So our basic stock standard thread that you work with most. I don't know about you, but it's Glide 40 weight that I work with.
It's my favorite too.
Yes. Beautiful sheen polyester, which is good to use for your quilts.
It works beautifully in machines. So
Yes.
the theory of only ever using 100% cotton doesn't necessarily have to be that way when you're quilting with a machine. The polyesters work really well,
Yes.
and they are cleaner to run through your machine as well.
And less hassles, because
Yes.
they break less.
Mm.
So one of the important things though is that you have your threading path correct and that you have the orientation of your thread correct is to avoid issues. And that's one of the most common things I come across in classes all the time, is that cones either lie that shouldn't lie or stand that shouldn't stand, and that makes it difficult for you because thread will snap and break. So the rule of thumb, if a cone is cross-wound like this one, I'm going to zoom in and zoom out, then this cone of thread should stand and the cone should stand still so that the thread comes off the top. So whenever you are pulling on the thread and the cone moves, like in this instance, then your thread path is not correct. Then how you place your cone is not correct. So you should be fine with your handy quilter machine. Your cone goes on the stand and up to the aerial and off the top of the thread. Okay? Now what do I do when I have a stack wound reel of thread? Do you see that the threads are lying straight horizontally on top of each other? What do I do?
That one works a little bit differently. So I have an illustration that I like to use. I like little pictures because I remember things and stories, and I remember much better that way. So these ones, the thread is designed to come off the side. So Celine said to you just now, with the cross-wound ones that sort of spiral up and down the cone, it has to come off the top. These stack ones are different. The thread actually needs to come off the side. This one is closed, but I'm going to take this one. Oops, sorry. Take this one. This is a superior glitter thread, but it's stacked. So this should come, get the orientation right here. It has to come off the side of the cone like this. So it's going to turn your reel as the thread comes off, and the thread comes off at the bottom. So you might want to think, really, is that necessary? Yes, it is. So Talina's got a little thread stand here. If you think of the handy quilter machines, your normal thread stand is standing and you go up to the top of the thread stand and through. That's then going to pull this off the top of the cone, which is not what we want. So you have a horizontal spool pin. So this screws into your machine. The cone slots on so that the thread's coming off of the bottom. Thank you, Talina. And then you can pull it off of the bottom like this.
So I'm going to turn it like that.
There you go, like that. So we said it's important, the orientation, so I want to just show you why. If you look at a toilet roll, if it's stack wound like that last cone and it has to pull off the bottom, if it pulls off, doesn't work, if it pulls off straight, then that thread is fine. If I were to stand it and pull the thread off the top, can you see what happens? It adds a whole lot of extra twist to your thread that it's not designed to have. And that starts then to cause problems as it gets stitched into the fabric itself. So that's why you need to figure out if your cone needs to stand up with the thread coming off the top, or if you need to use a horizontal spool pin and pull it directly off of the side.
And just to recap, that has got nothing to do with the size of the spool or whether it's a mini cone or a large cone. Or the brand for that matter. It has everything to do with how it's wound onto that cone or spool. If it's cross wound, it stands still. If it's stack wound, it lies on its side and the thread comes from the bottom so the spool and the cone actually turns. And that way you'll avoid some shredding and you'll avoid snapping of thread as well.
You'll avoid headaches.
Lots of headaches it'll avoid. But we also are not just limited to 40 weight. 40 weight is our happy medium thread. We can piece with it, we can quilt with it, and it just goes lovely. But sometimes you want to use a thread that disappears into your quilt and you don't want all the attention on that. And that's where we've got our lovely Guide 60.
So it's a thinner thread. The bigger the number on these threads, so a 40 weight compared to a 60 weight. The 60 is a bigger number, but it actually means it's a thinner thread.
It's a thinner thread.
Yeah. So this one's a much finer thread, so if you put a lot of stitching into a quilt, it's not going to make the quilt as stiff and it's not going to make it as heavy. So it's a really nice blending thread that's going to melt away into your quilt and you're not going to notice it so much. So with this one, can I put it in my bobbin?
Oh, absolutely. I just wanted to say that that's a huge benefit for me. I love the Glide 60s. I load it on my bobbin, and because it's thinner, I can get further because I can load so much more onto my bobbin. Because I like to use metal bobbins and I wind my own bobbins. So I love using this in the bobbin and then on the needle as well. And I know it's just beautifully sewn in. I don't have any hassles with this.
And do you have to change your tension at all between using the Glide, say a 60 weight thread and a 40 weight thread?
That for me, in experience, depends on my quilt sandwich as well. If I stick to a cotton and it's a single layer of batting, then sometimes not. But sometimes the added weight of batting, because I like to work through multiple layers of batting as well, it does eat up and adjust. I need to do some fine tuning, but very little.
What else have you got sitting there?
Well, I've got, let's just bypass this one for now because I know metallic is a headache for a lot of people. Of course, cotton thread. Now, I don't know about you, I don't work a lot with cotton, but you...
Only for piecing, really.
Okay, but it is available. It's a beautiful cotton thread. Anything from Full-Tech, that's what we love using at the moment, is awesome stuff. So you are good to go with that.
I think as well it's the type of effect that you want on the quilt, isn't it? The
Absolutely.
polyester threads, they tend to have a bit of a sheen to them, which not everybody likes or wants, especially on a traditional quilt. So then the cotton might just be your...
Might be the thing to go to.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's personal preference, so just because I use certain things doesn't mean it's the only thing
Exactly.
I use. Yeah.
It is available. So this is also a cotton that we have, and it's called the Cairo quilt, right?
Yeah.
So those two are the same. It's the two sides of coat. Now, I know this might be a stupid little thing for some of you, but I did get a person or several people actually saying to me, but what do I do with all these tails? How do I keep track of them and that they don't become one big mess at my drawer? But did you know, if you pop off the bottom of the cone, you can wind your thread tail in there. And I thought...
It's sneaky, huh?
It's sneaky, but I thought it was so... you know, but how did you not know that?
Okay, it's obvious.
And it's so obvious, and it's not. And then when you're done, you just snap that end back in, and your thread tail's taken care of.
The key to that, of course, is using it.
Absolutely.
Because I'm of the lazy inclination, and I sort of take them off of the machine and put them down and throw them in the drawer and then But yeah, it's there for a purpose, girls.
See, but we can use all of those tail ends again to make some creative stuff.
Maybe.
So what else have we got? Silk. I'm not a fully in silk usage.
I love silk. Yeah, I love it. It's thin, so it's a bit like the 60 weight thread, nice and fine, and it just works beautifully. I can't explain particularly why. I've had very little thread breakage with it, and if you choose a blending colour with your quilts, background sort of colour, then it just melts away. So because it's thin and light, it doesn't add stiffness and it doesn't add weight to the quilts. So if you're doing really dense fillers, then it's a really nice thread to use. Yeah,
and I'm assuming if you're going to go like a miniature quilt, something that's really small, and you
Yeah.
want to add all your magnificent feather weaves in a tiny scale.
That's it. If you want the texture of the quilting to be more the focus than the actual thread, you don't necessarily want to see thread, but you want to see puffiness and flatness, then this is a really great
Now, question,
option.
would you change your needle when you're using silk?
With the handy quilters, I found that a 16, so your standard needle, is brilliant. I don't often change from a 16. If I've got a major problem with thread shredding, I might go to an 18. I don't normally go smaller. The smaller the needle, the more flex you get to it, the more bend, and the more problems you tend to have with tension and shredded thread and that kind of thing. So I think if you do, you can go to a full jean, but you have to be aware that you need to sew more slowly.
Yes, because that's when you get that skip stitches when you sew from left
So
from
I
right
think if
to
you're
left.
doing very detailed work, so yes, if you're using silk and you're doing your background fills and it's very detailed, you're not going to be sewing at 64,000 miles an hour.
No.
So in that case, a smaller needle will be fine.
Okay.
But my experience is 16 is
16 just goes.
It's good for me.
Well then. Now, let's do the fun bits first before we get to the controversies.
Okay.
Razzle Dazzle, Ricky Timms by Superior Threads. Now this is just the good stuff. And if you've had a look at it, it's fat. I mean, I think it's gonna get close to actually crochet yarn. Which means I can't put this through my needle, right?
No, it's
so
not
how
gonna
do
work.
I put this on my quilt? Because it's just gorgeous.
Yeah, I've used quite a lot of these threads. I like them a lot. They give you a bit of accent to certain areas and they just lift your quilt in a way that sometimes you just need it. But it's, like we said, not something that can go through the top needle. So my preferred method is to couch it on. So with the handy quilter machine, you can do it with the machine, but you can't use the couching feet. We're going to do a video later on in the year on couching, but just to give you the basics, the thread is too thin for the size of the hole in the couching feet.
Even the smallest feet.
So it's not going to couch it down, it's going to miss it.
Okay.
So if you are going to use this, you need to manually, which is a little bit laborious, do like a little tiny zigzag either side. So you lay your thread down on your quilt where you want it to be, and then you just move your machine and you do stitch up, stitch down as you go along. The other option is to take it to a domestic machine and stitch it on with like a zigzag stitch.
Yes, when you do an applique, use your applique foot.
Yes.
But then your other option, of course, is to put this on your bobbin and do bobbin quilting. Now, yes, you might raise your eyebrows, but it is actually quite fun to do.
I've never tried it.
It's not so thick that it doesn't go through your bobbin tension. It actually just pops through your bobbin case normally, and it goes through the tension plate normally. You might have to loosen, and remember, lefty-loosey, loosen your bobbin tension a bit. But test again. And that just means that you're going to turn your quilt upside down. So this would be the last step of your decorative work that you will be doing. Whether you're on a frame or on a sit down, you would need to take your quilt off and turn it upside down so that you can get the decorative thread that sits now on your bobbin on the top of your quilt. And it just stitches beautifully. And depending on how you manipulate your tension on your bobbin case, you can either get a flat line of thread, or you can actually create texture with it. So it is great fun to play with it on the bobbin.
I think we need a play date because I've never tried that, and I'm sort of control freakish, and I don't like the idea of my quilt being upside down. But maybe we must get together and
we shall play. I shall educate you.
Oh, thanks.
What you need to remember is that you've already done your quilting, so all of your stitch lines are in place. It's already there, and when you are stitching just from the back side on a previously sewn line, your bobbin will line up whenever you're stitching.
I'll give it a go.
Please do, it's fun.
Right, what else have you got?
Right, now here comes the two problem children's.
I forgot them.
Monopoly. We love. I don't know about you, do you not? I love
Right.
Monopoly. I like working with it. I don't have issues with it. It blends. You get a quilt where there is just no way that any thread wants to go with it. It's going to work with it. You've got to sew over photographs, for instance. What color thread do you use on something like that? So I find I use the Monopoly quite a lot with memory quilts. Things where all the blocks are different.
Can't decide what other thread
What other
colours
color is going to work? So what do you do with this little guy? First of all is I prefer working with a thread net because I don't know if you can see it, maybe against my black shirt, but it falls off the cone.
And
ridiculous.
It's
so fine. Exactly. Now the other key thing is, so the thread net on top of your cone will keep that thread in place. The other thing is that quality. When it comes to Monopoly, invisible thread as we know it, and metallic, quality of thread makes a huge difference in your success rate. If you're going to use a 5 rand cone of thread, good luck with that.
And I see this one is ridiculously fine. You get some
They
that are
are.
much sort of thicker, almost like fishing.
Yeah, but that's
fishing
our
line.
fishing line. Can you imagine how stiff and hard your quilt will be? So this is the YLI brand that I personally love using. And the Glide is also fantastic. There's several others that's available out there, but you want to make sure that you kind of not pay less than guideline, like 120 Rand for a reel, and you know you've got the good stuff. But because it's so thin and fine, it just blends into your quilt. And you're not ever going to iron that quilt, so it won't melt.
Yeah, the only thing that I found with the monopoly is it tends to stretch a little bit.
It does.
So
you need
if you
to
loosen
do
it too
tension.
tight, yeah, you
Yes.
end up, you stitch and you think it's beautiful, and then when you finished, everything bunches up
Yes.
because it's contracted once you've let go of
Yes.
the tension. So
And
you
you'll
do have
find
to bring your tension down a
need
little
to.
bit. So lefty, loosey.
That's it.
I'm ready.
You are. So the key things: thread net will contain the thread in its place. Bring down your top tension. So not just because it stretches, but because also it's a bit of a stiffer thread than our poly.
In a way.
Exactly. So it needs a little bit more manipulation or convincing to go down into your quilt. So you need to lower your top tension, and sometimes you need to lower it quite significantly.
Okay.
It's not a big fan of a very big needle, so I'd go 16, not bigger than a 16. And look, you can't sew at, again, 64,000 miles per hour. But if you follow these things, happy days. Normal polyester or borderline and your bobbin, and you are good to go. Comes in clear and smoky. Tell me.
Getting there.
Tell me about metallic. Do you like or not? Do you like to work with it or not?
It's not something that I use very often. I think quilting for customers, which is what I do most of the time, it's not one of the options that I ever go to. I've used it a little bit in some of my own quilts, but not very much. It has that horrible reputation for being a pig.
But
So maybe that's keeping me away from it. So
it
what should
could
I
be.
do? What must
So I've
I
got
do?
some steps for you.
Mhm.
Number one, thread net. Again, it's a hard, stiff thread that falls off the cone. Okay, and when it falls off, it gets hooked at the bottom and the wind blows it there and you've got all sorts of drama. Thread net on. Number two is that you oil your metallic thread. So we use our machine oil, not cooking oil,
Not olive.
not olive oil,
Okay.
not 3-in-1 oil. You use your thin mineral machine oil and you drag a couple of lines of oil onto your metallic thread because it actually dries out.
Is that
And
not going to
snaps.
stay in my quilt?
It doesn't because our mineral oil washes out. And there's such a little bit of amount of oil that's left on the thread. Doesn't ever show on a quilt or fabric. Okay? If you are going to dunk the entire cone and take it straight from the oil bath onto the frame and then sew with it, you will get oil stains. But we're talking about a minimal amount of oil. So I'm dragging like 5 or 6 lines of oil on my cone and I'll work for about a quarter of a way in. And the moment I'll get one or so break, then I know it's time. And I drag a couple of lines of oil. Okay, so that's step 2. Step 3, lower top tension. Much lower top tension. Okay? Bigger needle. 18
about the
needle.
about the needle.
What you need to remember about needle, and I think again in our following months we do have a discussion on needles, but if the eye of the needle is too small for the thread, there's too much friction that happens in that small space, and that's when you get shredding, and that's when you get thread breaks all the time. Okay? So you want a bigger needle with a bigger eye and a bigger groove that has more space and leeway for the thread to move through.
So I think I've got a couple of challenges then.
Slow down your stitching.
Oh boy.
All right.
2.
Only 1,000 stitches per second.
Okay.
Okay? Now the other key thing is when you're done and you put this away, keep it in a Ziploc baggie or airtight container.
So that the oil doesn't
Exactly.
get on anything else.
Don't keep it in your fridge.
Oh.
I
Yes,
know.
I've heard people say about
Exactly.
the fridge, but I've never tried it.
So here's the thing, is that why do we put stuff in our fridge? Apart from keeping it
Preserve
fresh,
it, yeah.
yes, is we want to keep it dry as well.
Okay.
So if you put an open cone of thread in your fridge, what's going to happen? It's going to
Get
dry
cold.
out. Smarty pants. Ziploc baggie, airtight container in your studio is perfectly fine.
Okay,
When
great.
you take it out again, drag some oil and you are
Yeah.
happy to go.
So I've got to try 2 things then. I've got to try the razzle dazzle and bobbin, and I've got to try a little bit more metallic.
And I need to try some silk.
We do. The other thing that we haven't talked about is pre-wound bobbins.
Oh,
so
yeah,
we
I've
talked
heard a lot
you,
about them.
You wind your own bobbins and you like the Glide 60. I'm a sucker for a pre-wound bobbin. So I'm lazy. I don't like to wind my own, and I'm quilting for customers 99% of the time. So I want something convenient. So I can buy boxes of these and I can just pick out the same, exactly the same color. It's precision wound and they work beautifully for me. We'll probably do another discussion about it at a later stage, but just to make you aware, these are 6 colors. There's probably 2 others that I might use. There's a sort of an in-between kind of brown and a dark brown. Otherwise, with those 6 that I have here and the additional 2, I can basically quilt any quilt. And because it's fine thread, it melts into the background of your backing fabric. You don't see it. And I just find they work really, really well. So that's my preference for bobbins, but that doesn't mean it's the only one. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it works for you, but it's good for me.
Know that it's available.
Yeah.
Give it a go. Try some different threads
And
have fun with it. And your wish list for your birthday is, instead of chocolates, well, no, that was just completely wrong. In addition to the chocolates, is ask for a voucher for threads. I don't know about you, but to open a chocolate box full of threads would be my
A girl can never have enough threads.
Exactly. Happy stitching.
Bye.
This month we have a fantastic promotion for you on some rulers, and we're highlighting the oval rulers this month. And you'll see that we have 4 different sets available, each consisting of 2 rulers, and the oval template set A has 3 ovals in there. And we also have the oval mini template, which is a fantastically fun little ruler. Now, if you purchase any of 2 of these sets, in any combination, if you purchase 2 sets of the oval templates, we are throwing in a set of handy grips for you for free. Question is, do you know what to do with oval rulers? Or do you have oval rulers and you don't know what to do with them? Well, let me show you some options. Okay. So as you can see, this is extremely serious work that happened a while back when I got the mini oval ruler. It was no fun at all by the looks of things. So I just wanted to show you a couple of things that you can do with this mini oval. Over here, to start off with, if you literally just repeat the oval. Now remember, the oval's sitting on the inside of the ruler and it has a slot so that it can hook around your hopping foot. So you would be stitching on the inside of the ruler, and when you reach the bottom you would need to backtrack again to get to the top point of your oval and simply move your ruler to carry on stitching the next oval. Backtrack up, move your ruler and continue. And just by placing ovals in a line, you've got an interesting border immediately. I've played with some ovals over here, again on the inside, and filling them with different fills. Over here, it's sort of a clamshell effect with the corner or just the one half of the oval, and every time just moving it up where you want to stitch. Continuous curve. But instead of going round like we traditionally would, use your oval ruler to do that. And the ovals keep on overlapping. And then adding some interesting fills, flattening certain areas, will create a whole lot of new dimension and texture. Flowers. So basically pivoting around a center point, and you would stitch, go back down to the middle, or you would start in the middle, go around, turn your ruler, stitch, end in the middle, turn your ruler, stitch, end in the middle, and carry on like that with the amount of segments that you'd like. And on this instance here, I've only left out the one petal, so it's only 6 instead of 8, and look what happens if you add some fancy feathers to it. And there as well, adding some more information, adding some more designs around your basic oval gives you a good starting point and something that's a little bit different than just your circles or straights. So I'm going to show you now on a piece of paper how we go about designing with your rulers, and then that would also translate into the actual stitching. So what would be available for you down at the bottom of this video as a download, a link, it will be on our website as well, is a document, a PDF document with a whole lot of design ideas that you can do with your oval ruler. So I've drawn some out for you. Then there's also the ones that's available from Handy Quilter on what they suggest, and all of these designs that's available from Handy Quilter is on the back packaging of your rulers. As my handy assistant showing here, so you'll see it there. So all of the Handy Quilter rulers gives you design suggestions, so you're not stuck in the dark. Then if you've got something a little bit more than just a block, let's say you want to play an experiment with a mini quilt or a cushion cover for that matter, I've given you 2 design ideas that you can go and practice and play with and experiment. What if you do a runner for Easter, or any as a gift, for instance, using your oval ruler as the highlight and as the feature? And if you have standalone ovals somewhere in a quilt, or if you create them somewhere in your quilt, now you need to know that this is an occupational hazard that will occur. It's currently summer in South Africa and extremely hot, so the wind is ever so lovely blowing through the studio. And the fan. Adding feathers inside your oval, making an oval as a feature piece. So these designs are all available. You are free to use and abuse. Available as a download from our website. Now, where do we start? We have got these fantastic stencils. This is called our centering stencil. That immediately gives us our XY lines and the crosshair on the 45. So it's a great starting point for any design that has to happen, that has a center point, circular, a mandala, that has a pivot point basically. So I just quickly drew my stencil down on my paper, and when you're doing this on your quilt, you would use your pounce pad to lightly puff and wipe with your chalk powder onto your quilt, or you can use your blue fabric pen or your purple fabric pen or any appropriate fabric marker pencil to mark the crosshairs on your quilt. Then this design I'm going to show you today needs a circle as well as an offset point, or not an offset point, to tell me where to stop and start my ovals and where to place my oval stencil. So I'm using one of the circle stencils, the circle rulers from Handy Quilter, which has the XY lines already printed, and I can just line them up with my registration marks I've already left, and I know my circle is going to be dead center. Right, so I'm just going to draw a guideline, and when we're drawing on paper, you've got to remember that when we're stitching, the needle stitches 1/4 inch away from the ruler, because that's the distance from the needle to the edge of your ruler foot. So when you're drawing, you need to remember that you don't design without your 1/4 inch, because then your design will end up being smaller or bigger or distorted or not where you wanted it to be. So you get a little drawing wheel. It's a metal disc that's 1/2 inch in diameter with a hole in the middle that you can put your pen in. So when I've got my disc running on the inside of my ruler, pens in there, I get my 1/4 inch offset from my ruler. So this is just a registration mark that you're leaving there, and you can leave it on your quilt as well for a while. Now you can take any of your ovals. That very much depends on how big you want your petals to be. I think this size one is going to be too big for my project here. I'm going to go to the smaller one. And let's see what we are going to get. It might actually not end up being one of the designs on the paper even. So I'm going to look for registration points. I'm going to look for certain marks that I can keep on repeating and keep on doing at every registration mark. Okay, so if I line up my ruler, the center of my ruler on my vertical axis, and I say, for instance, there where the lines are crossing, where this 1/4 inch mark that's on the ruler crosses the circle that I've drawn, if I line those 2 points up every time, then I will have the same shape at every axis point. Then I have my drawing wheel, which is now the interpretation of my needle, And I'm going to draw from this registration mark to this one. And that's how you're going to stitch it as well. So I'm going to go stitching over to that registration mark. Now my needle is in the paper at the moment, so I can lift my ruler and I can turn it, realign it with a center line on the horizontal axis, and I'm looking at the 1/4 inch mark that's running around my ruler, and I'm lining it up with the circle that I've drawn. Then I know my petal is going to be the exact same distance and size as the previous one. And I'm running around with my pen and my drawing wheel to the next axis. Turn the ruler, straight on straight, line up 1/4 inch mark of the ruler onto the circle. I have my drawing wheel and I'm drawing from axis to axis. Turn, line up 1/4 inch mark of the ruler onto the circle, then I know all my distances are the same. Just get this guy in place. Something shifted somewhere. That's not the end of the world. Happens. And you have a design that you can play in. And now you can use another ruler and you can offset that design. You can do another set of petals that runs a bit further. Maybe the center point of the ruler runs on the circle. And with my drawing wheel, I'll be adding petals there. Now when this comes to the actual stitching, you don't want to stop and start right here, because then you're going to have to stop and start with all 4 of these petals. So you would simply, because I'm still using the same ruler, and this is now where my needle is, I'll simply take my ruler, reposition it, and stitch again on that line until about the space where I need to be. So I'll probably go up to about there. That's where my needle will now stop. Then I'll reposition my ruler where it has to be, with my center mark on the circle, and I will carry on with that little bit of stitching and then do my new petal. Move my ruler, over stitch or back stitch on that section to where I need about to be, move my template to where I need it to be, carry on and do your next petal. And by using a ruler, a stencil, and another ruler, you have got your own unique fun design that you can now fill, echo, play with. Have fun, and remember about our special: buy any 2 oval ruler sets and you get a set of handy grips worth 150 Rand for free.